Hello again, Out Class. Welcome to Wednesday's maths lesson, where we're going to be continuing with our topic of time. And in this lesson, we are going to be looking at quarter past and quarter to. So last lesson we looked at o'clock and half past, and I had split this clock face into two halves. What has changed about it now? I have now split it into quarters. I have coloured this half of the clock red and this half of the clock blue. This half of the clock, the red half, is past. So everything on this half of the clock we would say is past the hour. On the blue side, it is to the hour. So when the minute hand, let me grab my minute hand again. So when the minute hand moves along this side, this is past. And then as soon as it gets to the 6 and moves past into the blue area, that then becomes 2. Okay, and we're going to need to remember that for this lesson. So looking at our minute hand first, if our minute hand is pointing to the right on our past side of the clock, what do you think we would call that? That would be quarter past. It's quarter past because the minute hand has moved a quarter of the way around the clock face. Now what happens if our minute hand points to the opposite side? This would be quarter to. Now, as you can see, our clock face has been divided into 4 quarters. We have o'clock at the top, quarter past, half past, and quarter to. Now I have colour coded my clock face with numbers on it to match this one. So you can see that anything before the 6 on the right hand side of the clock is past the hour, and everything after the 6 is to the hour. So let's put our minute hand onto our clock face again. Let's look at quarter past first. So the minute hand would be pointing towards the 3 on our clock. Quarter past, it's moved a quarter of the way around and it's pointing at the 3. Now let's get our hour hand again. If it's quarter past the hour, our hour hand is going to be, so here our hour hand is quarter past 1. It's not quite exactly in between. It's a little bit closer to the 1. It's a quarter past 1. It's a lot harder to tell just from the hour hand, so that's why we look at the minute hand as well to help us. So our minute hand is pointing at the 3 to quarter past, and our hour hand is a quarter of the way past 1, so the time is quarter past 1. Now if our minute hand moves around the clock again to quarter to, our hour hand also moves. It's not quite on the 2, but it's nearly at the 2. So our hour is still in 1, but we're nearly at 2 o'clock. So it's a quarter to 2, because it's got to travel another quarter of an hour until it reaches 2 o'clock. We can look at it with both hands on our clock. So we can tell from our minute hand that we are on the past side of the clock because it's before the 6 and it's in our red half. Our minute hand is pointing at the 3 at quarter past, and our hour hand is a quarter of the way past 1. Now our minute hand has moved. It's moved all the way around to the 9 into the 2 half of the clock. It's past the 6. And now our hour hand is a quarter away from the 2. So it's a quarter to 2. So for the next part of the lesson, we are going to be jumping back into Power Maths. And this is Unit 13, Lesson 2. So here, similarly to Monday's whale watching times, we've got feeding times at the zoo. So we've got monkeys, tigers, lions and penguins all being fed at different times. Let's have a look. Question 1A is asking us what time will the tigers be fed? I'm going to recreate this time on our clock tool. So our minute hand is pointing at the 3 and our hour hand is a little bit past the 5. What time do you think that might be? Everything before the 6 was past the hour, and everything after the 6 was to the next hour. If our minute hand is pointing on the 3, it's past, and our minute hand is a quarter of the way around the clock, which means it's a quarter past 5. What time do you think the penguins will be fed? This time our minute hand is around pointing at the 9. So that means it's moved 3 quarters around our clock already. If I try and draw so it's already moved 1 quarter, 2 quarters, and 3 quarters, and there's a quarter left to go around the clock. That means it's a quarter to 6. So the tigers will be fed at quarter past 5, and the penguins will be fed at quarter to 6. Now we have got to write the time out in words. What time does the reptile house open? The reptile house opens at blank. What time does it close? The reptile house closes at blank. So here it's actually really helpfully shaded the area that the minute hand has already moved past the 12. So have a go at question 1 and then we'll come back and check. So our reptile house opens at quarter past 10 because our minute hand is a quarter of the way around our clock at the 3 and our hour hand is a little bit past the 10. What time does the reptile house close? So our minute hand has moved all the way around to the 9, so it's moved 3 quarters around and there's 1 quarter left until the next o'clock. So we know it's a quarter to. It's a quarter to which hour? Where is our hour hand closest to? It's closest to the 4, so it's a quarter to 4. And this speech bubble here says, I will work out what the minute hand says first, because that will help you to know whether it's quarter past or quarter to. So now we've got 2 possible times that you can meet the macaws, these birds here. So you can either meet the macaws at this time or this time. And you have to fill in the blanks here. You can meet the macaws at blank and blank. So let's look at this first time here. Where is our minute hand first? Our minute hand is a quarter of the way around the clock pointing at the 3, so we know it's a quarter past. And now we look at the hour. Where is our hour hand closest to? It's closest to the 8, it's a little bit past the 8. So we know it's a quarter past 8, so that's our first time here. If we look at our other time, the minute hand has moved all the way around to the 9, and there's a quarter of an hour left until the next o'clock. So we know that it's quarter to. Now if we look at the hour hand, it's closest to the 3, so we know that the time is a quarter to 3. It's not quite 3 o'clock yet. Brilliant work, Oak class. If you got those right, then give yourself 2 house points. Now let's have a go at the challenge. So we've got 3 children here, Anna, Kat and Eshen. Kat and Eshen are making some times on their clocks. Kat is going to make quarter past 5. Eshen is going to make quarter to 1. Make or draw your own quarter past and quarter to times. Can you read your friend's time? So what you can do here, if you have a clock at home or if you made a clock on Monday's lesson, you can make a clock and show an adult in your house, or if you've got a sibling, you can make a time for them to try and guess. And see how many different times you can make for quarter past and quarter to. And you can even recap o'clock and half past and see if you get those right as well. Now have a go at the Power Maths work. It's Unit 13, Lesson 2,